We've now completed phase 3, so the rest of this week will be focused on assessing the phonemes, high frequency and tricky words, and spelling for this phase. We will now discuss assessment and what is most effective. If you're well versed in assessment, please skip ahead to see the resources that are available to support you through this process. It is advisable to assess regularly to ensure that you identify gaps early on in the process. These gaps are likely to make learning more difficult and therefore unpleasant for students. Identifying gaps allows you to formulate plans to close the gaps and accelerate learning. In this program, phonemes, high frequency and tricky words, as well as spelling, are assessed at the end of each phase. In addition to this, letter formation and letter names are assessed at the end of phase 2. It is most effective to do formative assessment of spelling each week after the test. This enables you to identify the words that need to be revised and retested. It is advisable to complete summative assessment at the end of each phase. This should take the form of each learner performing a self-assessment and then peer-supported learning to occur while staff assess each student. The suggestion for assessing phonemes as well as high frequency and tricky words is to initially look at the self-assessment performed by the students, then undertake teacher assessment. Both of these should be combined to inform the home learning or strategies for interventions to close any gaps. A variety of visual prompts have been created to support learning and the assessment process. There are sound mats displaying the phonemes both with and without supporting images. In addition to this, there is a sound button mat which assists learners with segmenting and blending. A word mat and high frequency and tricky mat have been created to support the assessment process and revision. A number of tracking tools have been created. The idea behind the spelling tracking sheet is to stick it in their workbooks and at the end of each week's spelling, highlight the words that need to be revised and retested. Assessment spreadsheets have been created to assist teachers to track phoneme and high frequency and tricky word recall. These auto-calculate as you populate them. As mentioned previously, the word mat and high frequency and tricky word mat tie into these spreadsheets to make assessing easier. Finally, there are activity booklets for children with the idea of allowing them to be independent while teachers are busy doing assessment. The booklets include self-assessment as well as peer-supported learning. They include phoneme revision and spelling activities. A great deal of thought has gone into each of these resources to make sure that they work as a collective and make the assessment process more efficient and easier. They can be accessed on the above PayHip store, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you. If you would like any of the available resources, you can access them by visiting my store on PayHip. Please click like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe.